Open world games are a dime a dozen. Seriously, if shooters were the defining genre of the 2000s, open world games might be what defines the current decade, and because they're everywhere and so commonly produced, they sort of get a bad rap. If a game has open world elements, it's often seen as a negative nowadays. So today on Good Game Design, I wanted to discuss the problems with the genre, and how two new games have made valiant efforts at improving them. Let's talk about it. So what exactly is wrong with open world games? Running around in a giant sandbox, being able to do whatever you want sounds amazing on paper, limitless possibilities and all that, but I think most open world games make two fatal flaws in their designs. One, they actively try to narrow down your experience into a much more linear one, and two, any bonus content you can do is pointless and uneventful. A good friend of mine and fellow content creator Rasputin made a couple videos that I highly recommend checking out. Minimaps are stupid, and I hate fast travel. I promise they're not as pessimistic as they sound. It's more just taking a look at common problems that open world games face and offering some suggestions of how to resolve it. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version here though. Minimaps, while an innocent attempt at giving you more information about the giant world you're exploring, become bogged down with clutter really easily, and waypoint markers of your next objective can force you to look at a tiny dot on your screen instead of taking in your surroundings. It also frees developers of the need to create intuitive level design because you're always guided to your next mission via a simple line or direction arrow. Fast travel can also be a huge detriment to the open-ended nature these games are trying to convey. With no punishment for instantly teleporting, you have zero incentive to walk across the map yourself once you discover a location, and again, it makes the purpose of having a giant wasteland to explore meaningless. Often, movement itself isn't fun, and there isn't anything to do in between destinations, so why not fast travel? But the bigger problem I have with open world games is that all the extra side quests you're given are not only excessive and overwhelming, but often dumb and serve no purpose. The majority of these side missions simply reward you with more experience or extra money or maybe a good weapon if you're lucky, but is this really worth the hassle of helping out a villager with a fetch quest or finding all the collectibles in the city if there's no decent reward for doing so? Even worse is when the activity itself is boring and disconnected from the overall story or theme of the game. I want to slay monsters, not catch red frogs. And God forbid if I have to go bowling with my cousin again. I find myself asking, so what's the point when I'm doing anything other than the main missions? And that's a surefire sign of shallow padding. So how do we fix it? Horizon Zero Dawn came out a few weeks ago, and I was pleasantly surprised by how it tackled a lot of these issues. You can instantly journey to any campfire that you've discovered on the map, but it now costs a fast travel pack to execute, which uses up resources you've collected from the environment. This makes each time you fast travel carry much more weight, as you can't just do it infinitely anymore. But the world of Horizon Zero Dawn is a big place, so when you're navigating normally, you can override machines to ride them and go much faster. These encounters in and of themselves are enjoyable, and you have to be stealthy to pull them off. Besides, it's important to hike by foot anyway to get the resources you need to craft arrows or healing items. While Horizon uses an intuitive waypoint system that adapts to your surroundings, you have the ability to turn the entire HUD off altogether and be able to take in the beautiful scenery around you as you explore the valleys and mountaintops of this world. Most significant, however, is that the variety of side quests are actually valuable to do. To reveal more of your map, you can climb tall necks and hack into their system, but doing so is extremely satisfying and fun, and each one presents new challenges of how to complete your task. Cauldrons are complex shelters full of monsters, but if you clear them out, it gives you knowledge of how to override even more machines as you journey to new locations. Overall, the side quests improve yourself as a character, and in more ways than just experience or skill points. It enhances the gameplay itself as you unlock new ways to play the game or discover hidden secrets. That being said, it does seem to get repetitive after a while, and the environments aren't exactly intuitive to navigate. What if another game took these improvements and went a step further? Enter Breath of the Wild. Our latest Zelda adventure is similar to Horizon Zero Dawn in a lot of ways. And no, not just because they both like shooting arrows at robots. The same advancements are here in Breath of the Wild. The Pro HUD turns everything off except for your hearts, making for true exploration without a constant reminder of where you're supposed to be. And while you can fast travel whenever you'd like, you can only transport to shrines or towers, not every single place you've discovered. And you're encouraged to trek everywhere because all of the extra things you can do have actual value for growing as a player. The The shrines give you spirit orbs that can increase your hearts or stamina when you collect 4 of them. Korok seeds can be found by solving simple little puzzles throughout the world, and these are used to upgrade your weapon, shield, or bow slots to carry more equipment. Killing enemies and gathering their body parts are not only useful for cooking elixirs, but also for upgrading your armor at the Great Fairy Fountains. And even memories can be triggered by finding locations that match these photos you're given by Impa, and these give you backstory of what happened 100 years ago before Link lost his memory. Everything has a purpose, and it's so much more than just money or completionism. In fact, Breath of the Wild pulled off something that every other game strives to do. It made each task and location unique, creative, and fun. I feel like you don't need a minimap to explore Hyrule. There's something waiting to be discovered around every corner. And no matter where you traverse, you're gonna find something interesting and rewarding. It's a map that was carefully crafted to be explored. And even the same tasks you have to do over and over are all distinctive from each other, like the towers that fill in your map. Yes, you have to climb to the top of each one, but they all have different obstacles along the way, like purple goop blocking the path, or simply not having any ledges to rest on, so you need to fly in from above. All of the dungeons are similar in that you need to find a way to enter them and interact with the 5 modules to take control of their body. But each one is so vastly different from the last and were very memorable experiences. Even the shrines blew me away with how diverse they were from each other. Not only are there 120 of these things, but they can all be completed right from the get-go. Nothing is gated from the beginning. And this sense of openness is only reinforced by how realistic the game's physics are. Want to create a giant snowball? You can do that. Want to climb that mountain in the distance? You can do that. Want to dress like a woman and ride a sand seal? Normal Saturday night. In fact, Zelda dared to do something most any other game would never dream of. You're able to go right to the end as soon as you leave the Great Plateau. Why would you create all this extra stuff to do, but then allow the player to skip it all and just beat the game in the first hour? Now, obviously this is easier said than done, and they definitely recommend that you don't do this, but the fact that it's possible is so important. This means that everything you do in this game is your choice. And this is exactly what an open world game should be all about. It's almost the polar opposite of other Zelda games. The joke in Ocarina of Time was that you're supposed to be saving the world, but instead you're fishing or catching chickens. But here it's like, well, you could fight Ganon, but why don't you go recruit some help first by wandering across the land? The only quest you're given at the start is to defeat Ganon, and how you decide to tackle that is up to you. It even makes fun of you a little bit if you don't know where to go and ask for help. Like, come on, have a little more resolve than that, you can figure it out. And this is all intentional. The driving force behind every design choice Nintendo makes here is discovery. It's fascinating when you start to see all the little details they threw in. Hetsu, the maraca-shaking broccoli tree, is purposefully placed on your way to Kakariko Village in the beginning. This is the only direction you're given, and the developers wanted to make sure you knew what the purpose of Korok seeds were early on. But he only lets you upgrade a couple times before he heads off towards his home in the north. If you want to upgrade your weapon slots further, you need to explore and find him again. When I first left the Great Plateau, the first thing I found wasn't a horse or a simple shrine, but instead a giant rock monster. Like, what? Look how far he hits me! There's a bunch of these mini-bosses all over the world, and this is one way to find out about them. Okay, get this, you can find a lady just cooking some meals on a cliffside, and she'll tell you the recipes she's made, but they're all bad and will only create dubious food that's so gross you can't even look at it, it's pixelated. But like, I should have known because she sucks at cooking. Look at that, she burnt the meat. And if you stand on this bridge and look out, a guy stops you and tries to talk you out of committing suicide. Like, don't do it, man, there's so much to live for. I can't even begin to describe how unique every single area is. The detail is unreal, and I never felt like I was seeing the same thing twice. Perhaps what games these days struggle with most is keeping things fresh. An enemy might be cool the first time you see it, but by the 20th, it's repetitive. I never got that feeling with Breath of the Wild. Every choice I made was my own, and the world encouraged me to do just that. It is truly a game that gives you the freedom to explore and rewards you when you do. Not with pointless experience, but with tangible benefits that have caused me to become hopelessly addicted to flying around Hyrule in hopes of finding every little secret. This is what an open world game should be, and I don't know if I've ever seen a game that executes it so perfectly. Thanks for watching another episode of Good Game Design. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to explore. Stay frosty, my friends. Hey guys, I'm Snowman. If you enjoyed, feel free to give this video a like and subscribe for more analytical content on this channel. Tell me your thoughts on Breath of the Wild in the comments below. I'm sure there's even more little details I haven't found yet. And as always, if you ever want to support the channel, you can do so through Patreon, like these people right here.